Of course, we're talking containers today,
Right.
and we're going to dive right in. We're going to get our hands dirty, and we're going to start with planting a large container. So this is one of my favorite things to do on a Saturday, is just tackle a big container planting. Go to the garden center, buy some plants that I think are going to work well, and basically just make my own creation. But I want to talk about the important things that we need to know to make sure that we set ourselves up for success right from the very beginning, because there are some do's and don'ts, especially with these big containers, and things that we need to think about to make sure that our drainage is going to be good and that we basically have the right dynamics for a successful planting.
Right, and the most important thing to start with is drainage. There is a drainage hole in the bottom, but if you put the potting mix directly on top of that drainage hole, 9 times out of 10 it might get clogged.
Right.
At that point, what you see, you look at the top of your container and it's filled with water. The potting mix is just like a mush. So why don't we catch that before it happens? The first thing that I put in is some mesh right over the drain hole. Next thing I put in are some rocks. That simply helps the drainage, helps the water get down through that hole. And then on top of the rocks, I'm going to put a piece of weed cloth. The weed cloth is going to keep the potting mix from getting all mixed up with everything that's underneath it. The weed cloth lets water through it, but it doesn't let the potting mix get through it. Then we are going to add the potting mix up to the level where we're going to put the plant. When I'm using really spectacular planters like this one, this in itself is a work of art. What I don't want to do is overwhelm it with a whole lot of different plants. We're just going to plant one large plant and 3 smaller ones in front, just to accent this color.
Well, let's go ahead and add our potting mix. We've got our drainage matrix in the bottom of it, set up and ready to go. Like I said, we're gonna get dirty, Pamela.
No, you're gonna get dirty. I'm standing back.
All right. And so we know that our big plant is gonna displace a fair amount of the potting mix. So we're gonna leave a little bit of space to accommodate that.
This is a ligustrum. Look how the lime green looks with that dark blue.
That's great.
It really, really looks cool. So what we do here is lift it out of the pot. You want to grab the bottom and pull a little bit and put it in. And if you look inside, what you can see is the roots are here and then the soil goes way down, because we're going to add some more soil before we put in our little small plants. Now let's go ahead and put the small ones in. We're going to try to lean them a little bit frontwards like that, because I want to see the flowers and not necessarily the stems. And now this is called dibbing and daubing, where you go through and simply add the potting mix in the spaces. Can you see how easy this is?
It's so much fun too. Look at all the fun we're having.
It's fun getting a little bit dirty sometimes.
It is. All right, and what's our next step, Pamela?
Next step and the last step is fertilizer. I like to use slow release fertilizers, and I look for slow release fertilizers that release based on time as opposed to water. And what I do is just sprinkle it on top of everything like this. I've done this enough. It's kind of like a cook using salt and pepper. They know how much to use. Then I shake it. Fertilizer goes down onto the dirt. Voila,
Voila.
we're done.
And now we got to water it in.
Yes.
Get it good and wet. Of course, you know, we just put a bunch of brand new potting mix in this, and so it's going to take a fair amount of water. And the first watering is, of course, very important. Make sure we get all the big air pockets out of there. We might see some settling. If we do, we can make other adjustments. We might need to add a few more handfuls of potting mix just to level things out and make sure that it's exactly where we want it. But that was quick and easy. That took us, what, 3 minutes?